This is not just a sea route. This is a global pressure point. A place so small on the map, yet so powerful in reality, that if it shuts down, the entire world feels it. This is the Strait of Hormuz. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary stretch of water. But in reality, this narrow passage carries nearly 20% of the world's oil supply every single day, a fact reported by organizations like the US Energy Information Administration. That means every fifth drop of oil used across the planet passes through this one location. Geographically, this strait connects the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. On one side lies Iran. On the other side are Oman and the United Arab Emirates. At its narrowest point, it's just about 33 kilometers wide. But here's the real danger. The actual shipping lanes used by massive oil tankers are even narrower. Which means, one disruption here, and everything stops. Isn't just about ships passing through. This is about control. Because whoever controls or disrupts this route can influence global oil prices overnight. Iran, which sits along this strait, has repeatedly stated that if pushed into conflict, it could attempt to block or disrupt this passage. And that changes everything. If the Strait of Hormuz gets blocked, oil supply drops instantly. Prices skyrocket. Fuel becomes expensive. Transportation slows down. Food supply chains get affected. Stock markets react. And within days, the impact spreads across the entire world. This is why the region is heavily militarized. The United States maintains a strong naval presence here. Warships constantly patrol these waters. Because keeping this route open is not just a regional priority. It's a global necessity. Instead of competing with larger navies directly, Iran focuses on asymmetric warfare. This includes fast attack boats, naval mines, coastal missile systems. In such a narrow waterway, even small disruptions can create massive consequences. You don't need a full war to block this route. Just enough chaos. On the surface, the Strait of Hormuz looks calm. Ships pass. Water flows. Trade continues. But beneath that calm, there is constant tension. Because one mistake, one conflict, one escalation, and this peaceful route can turn into a global crisis zone. But here's the part most people don't understand. The Strait of Hormuz doesn't need to be fully closed to create chaos. Even a small disruption can trigger a global chain reaction. Imagine this. A single oil tanker is attacked, or even suspected to be attacked. Insurance companies immediately raise risk levels. Shipping costs skyrocket. Some companies refuse to send their vessels through the route. And suddenly, oil supply begins to slow down. Not because it's completely blocked, but because it's no longer safe. This has happened before. Tensions in the region have led to tanker incidents, drone surveillance, and military standoffs, all reported by major global outlets like BBC News and Al Jazeera. And every time it happens, markets react instantly. Oil prices spike within hours. What makes this region even more dangerous is that war here doesn't always look like war. There are no official declarations. No clear start. Just rising tension. Silent movements. Naval ships tracking each other. Drones flying overhead. Missiles on standby. It's a constant game of pressure. Controlling the Strait of Hormuz is not easy. Because it's not just about military strength. It's about geography. The waterway is narrow, surrounded by land, and heavily monitored. Large warships can operate here. But they are also vulnerable in tight spaces. This is where smaller, faster forces become effective. This is why countries across the world closely monitor this region. Because this is not just about the Middle East. It's about global stability. From Asia to Europe to North America. Everyone depends on what happens here. Right now, the Strait of Hormuz remains open. Ships continue to pass. Oil continues to flow. But the balance is fragile. Because the entire system depends on one thing. Stability. And in a region filled with political tension, stability is never guaranteed. The most dangerous part about the Strait of Hormuz is not what is happening. It's what could happen. Because the world has built its energy system around this narrow passage. And that means one point of failure. One place where everything can go wrong, and that's why this isn't just a sea route. This is a global lifeline. A silent battlefield. And possibly the most important choke point on Earth.